Eleanor Price stood at the gate of Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital staring up at the deteriorating building. 4 stories of gray stone. Windows barred. Some broken. Ivy crawling up the walls like the place was being slowly consumed by nature. It looked like something from a horror movie. Like a place where hope went to die. This was her new home. Eleanor was 56 years old. A widow of 2 years. Her husband Thomas had died of complications from diabetes. Long, slow decline. Watching him fade had been torture. But at least she had been able to say goodbye. To hold his hand. To tell him she loved him one more time. After Thomas died, Eleanor had tried to keep the house. Their house. Where they had lived for 30 years. Raised their daughter. Built a life. But she couldn't afford it alone. Thomas's pension died with him. Social Security wasn't enough. The house went into foreclosure. Eleanor moved in with her daughter Rebecca for a while. But that hadn't worked. Rebecca's husband Mark made it clear Eleanor wasn't welcome. Too much space taken. Too much food eaten. Too much of a burden. After 6 months, Rebecca sat Eleanor down with tears in her eyes and said she couldn't do it anymore. Mark was threatening to leave. The marriage was falling apart. Eleanor understood. Didn't want to be the reason her daughter's marriage failed. So she left. She tried other options. Shelters. But they were temporary. 2 weeks maximum. Senior housing. But the waiting lists were years long. She applied anyway. But that didn't help her now. A social worker named Janet finally offered a solution. There's a place, she said carefully. It's not ideal. But it's housing. Free housing. And you can stay as long as you need. Eleanor had been desperate. What place? Blackwood Psychiatric Hospital. It closed 10 years ago. Budget cuts. Patients were moved to other facilities or released. But the building still stands. The state owns it. And there's a program. Housing for homeless seniors. You'd have a room. Running water. Electricity. It's safe. Eleanor had hesitated. A psychiatric hospital? An abandoned one? Janet had been honest. It's not pleasant. The building is old. Run down. And yes, it has a history. But it's shelter. And you need shelter. So Eleanor had agreed. Because what choice did she have? Sleep on the street? Die of exposure? At least this was a roof. Walls. Protection from the elements. Now standing at the gate, Eleanor felt dread settle in her stomach like a stone. The place radiated wrongness. Decay. Sadness. But she pushed through the gate anyway. Walked up the cracked pathway. Through the heavy front doors. Inside was worse than outside. The lobby was vast. High ceilings. Peeling paint. Water stains. The floor was cracked linoleum. There was a reception desk, but no one sat there. Just dust and old papers. Hello. Eleanor called. Her voice echoed. A man appeared from a hallway. Middle-aged. Tired-looking. Wore a security guard uniform. You must be Eleanor. I'm Dave. I manage the building now. Well, manage is generous. I make sure people don't break in and that the electricity stays on. He led Eleanor through the building. Down long corridors with doors on either side. Some open. Most closed. Eleanor glimpsed rooms as they passed. Empty beds with rusted frames. Overturned chairs. Broken windows. Graffiti on walls. How many people live here? Eleanor asked. Right now. 12. We have capacity for 50, but not many people want to stay. Most leave after a few days. Say the place creeps them out. Eleanor felt her anxiety spike. What do you mean creeps them out? Dave shrugged. Old building. Lots of history. People hear things. See things. Probably just their imagination. Or rats. We have rats. That wasn't reassuring. Dave led Eleanor to the 3rd floor. Down another long corridor. Stopped at a door marked 304. This is you. It's one of the better rooms. Window isn't broken. Door locks. He opened the door. The room was small, maybe 10 by 12 feet. A metal bed frame with a thin mattress. A small table. One chair. A sink in the corner. Bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. The window looked out over the grounds. Dead gardens. Overgrown paths. Crumbling stone walls. Bathroom is down the hall. Shared. There's a kitchen on the first floor. Shared too. You'll meet the others eventually. They mostly keep to themselves. Dave handed Eleanor a key. If you need anything, I'm in the basement office. Try not to need anything after 8 p.m. That's when I leave. You leave. At night. Can't afford overnight security. Budget's too tight. But you'll be fine. Doors lock. Just stay in your room after dark and you won't have problems. What kind of problems? Dave looked uncomfortable. Just stay in your room. And if you hear anything weird, ignore it. Old buildings make noise. That's all it is. Noise. He left before Eleanor could ask more questions. Eleanor sat on the bed. It creaked. The mattress was lumpy. She looked around her new home. This tiny room in an abandoned psychiatric hospital. This was her life now. This was what she had come to. She cried. Quietly. Didn't want anyone to hear. But the tears came anyway. For Thomas. For the life they had built and lost. For the dignity she no longer possessed. That first night Eleanor barely slept. The building made sounds. Constant sounds. Creaking. Groaning. Wind whistling through broken windows. Pipes banging. Footsteps in the hallway, except when Eleanor looked no one was there. Old building, she told herself. Just like Dave said. Old buildings make noise. But it didn't feel like just noise. It felt alive. Like the building was breathing. Watching. Waiting. Eleanor met some of the other residents. All elderly. All homeless. All here because they had nowhere else to go. There was Margaret. 72. Husband had dementia. Went to a nursing home. She couldn't afford to stay in their apartment alone. Been at Blackwood for 8 months. There was Frank. 68. Lost his job. Lost his apartment. No family. Been here a year. There was Ruth. 80. Sweetest woman you'd ever meet. Hummed constantly. Old hymns. Been here longer than anyone. 3 years. Ruth loved it here. Said the building talked to her. Kept her company. The others thought Ruth was losing her mind. Eleanor wasn't sure. At night the sounds got worse. Eleanor would lie in bed listening. Footsteps. Always footsteps. Up and down the hallway. Past her door. But when she looked through the keyhole, the hallway was empty. Voices too. Faint. Like people talking in distant rooms. But Eleanor knew the rooms near hers were empty. She had checked. Just dust and decay. No people. And then there was the crying. That was the worst. A woman crying. Sobbing. Heart-wrenching, desperate sobs. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. From the walls themselves. Eleanor mentioned it to Margaret one morning. Do you hear crying at night? A woman. Margaret's face went pale. You hear it too. So it's real? It's not just me. Margaret nodded. We all hear it. Every night. Around 3 a.m. It starts and doesn't stop for hours. Ruth says it's patients. Ghosts of patients who died here. Frank says it's the wind. I don't know what it is. But yes. We all hear it. Have you tried to find the source? Margaret laughed bitterly. Honey, we're old and tired and barely surviving. We don't investigate mysterious crying. We ignore it and try to sleep. That's how you survive in a place like this. But Eleanor couldn't ignore it. The crying haunted her. Made her chest ache. Made her want to help whoever was making that sound. One night Eleanor decided to find the source. It was stupid. Dangerous probably. But she couldn't stand it anymore. Had to know. 3 a.m. Like clockwork. The crying started. Eleanor got out of bed. pulled on her robe, grabbed the flashlight Dave had given her, opened her door. The hallway was dark. Emergency lights provided minimal illumination. Eleanor could see maybe 10 feet ahead. Beyond that, just shadows. The crying was louder in the hallway. Clearer. Definitely a woman. Young sounding. Absolutely heartbroken. Eleanor followed the sound. Down the hallway. Past closed doors. Past empty rooms. The crying led her to a stairwell at the end of the corridor. She hesitated. The stairwell was completely dark. No lights. And the crying was coming from above. 4th floor. The floor Dave had told her never to go to. That's where the violent ward was, he'd said. Dangerous patients. We keep it locked. But the door wasn't locked now. It was open. Just a crack. Like someone had left it that way deliberately. Eleanor pushed it open. Climbed the stairs. Each step creaked. The crying got louder. More intense. Whoever this was, they were in agony. The 4th floor was worse than the others. More decay. More damage. Doors hung off hinges. Walls had holes. Graffiti everywhere. But also restraints. Leather straps bolted to walls. Cages in corners of rooms. This was where they kept people who were dangerous. To themselves or others. Eleanor's skin crawled. She wanted to leave. Wanted to run back to her room and hide under the covers. But the crying pulled her forward. She followed it to a room at the end of the hall. The door was closed, but light came from under it. Yellow light. Like a candle. Eleanor knocked. Hello. Are you okay? The crying stopped. Abruptly. Complete silence. Eleanor waited. Her heart pounded. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe she should leave. Then a voice. Quiet. Female. Young. Help me. Eleanor tried the door. It was locked. Hello. I want to help. Can you open the door? I can't. I'm trapped. Please help me. Please. Eleanor didn't have keys. Didn't have tools. How am I supposed to help if the door is locked? Break it. Please. I've been here so long. So long. I can't take it anymore. Eleanor pushed on the door. It didn't budge. She threw her shoulder against it. Pain shot through her arm. The door didn't move. I can't break it. It's too strong. I'll get help. I'll get Dave. He has keys. No. The voice became panicked. Don't leave. Don't leave me alone again. Please. Everyone leaves. Everyone forgets. Please don't forget me. I won't forget. I promise. But I need to get help to open this door. Eleanor turned to leave. Behind her she heard the voice again. Quieter now. Defeated. They always leave. They always forget. I'll be here forever. Alone. Always alone. Eleanor ran. Down the stairs. Down the hallways. To the basement. To Dave's office. Pounded on the door even though it was past midnight and Dave had gone home hours ago. She went back to her room. Didn't sleep. Waited for morning. As soon as she saw light through her window, she went to find the other residents. Margaret. Frank. Ruth. She told them everything. About following the crying. About the woman trapped on the 4th floor. About the voice begging for help. Margaret shook her head. Eleanor, honey, there's no one on the 4th floor. That door is always locked. Dave checks it every day. But it was open last night. And someone is up there. I heard her. Frank looked worried. You shouldn't have gone up there. 4th floor is dangerous. Structure is unsound. Floors could collapse. But someone needs help, Eleanor insisted. We have to do something. Ruth spoke for the first time. Her voice was gentle. There is someone up there, dear. But not someone we can help. Not anymore. What do you mean? Ruth took Eleanor's hand. I've been here longest. 3 years. And I've heard the stories. From Dave. From people who used to work here. There was a patient. Room 412. Young woman. Sarah Murphy, 23 years old. Schizophrenia. Violent episodes. They kept her in restraints most of the time. Kept her locked in that room. Eleanor felt sick. That's inhumane. It was the 70s, Ruth continued. Different time. Different standards. Sarah was there for 6 years. Then there was a fire. Small one. Electrical. Started on the 4th floor. Staff evacuated the building. But Sarah was in restraints. In a locked room. They forgot her. Oh God, Eleanor whispered. By the time they remembered, it was too late. Smoke inhalation. She died alone. Locked in that room. Crying for help that never came. The room was silent. Eleanor felt tears running down her face. That poor woman. That poor girl. Margaret said they say she never left. That she's still there. Still locked in that room. Still crying. Still waiting for someone to help her. That's why people leave, Eleanor realized. That's why no one stays here. They hear her and they can't stand it. Ruth nodded. Most people run. Can't handle the guilt. The sadness. But some of us have nowhere else to run to. So we stay. And we listen. And we remember her. Because someone should remember. Eleanor made a decision. I'm going to help her. The others looked at her like she was crazy. Huh. She's dead, Eleanor. Been dead 40 years. But her spirit isn't at peace. She's trapped. Still waiting for help. Maybe if I acknowledge her. If I remember her. If I tell her story. Maybe that will help. Eleanor spent that day in the library. Researching. She found old newspaper articles about Blackwood. About the fire. About Sarah Murphy. Learned her full story. She had been an art student. Bright future. Then schizophrenia hit. Her family couldn't handle her. Committed her. Forgot about her. She had been at Blackwood for 6 years before she died. 6 years of hell. Restraints. Isolation. Medication that barely worked. And then death. Alone. Afraid. Abandoned. Eleanor went back to Blackwood that evening. Went to Dave's office. Told him what she wanted to do. Dave listened. Then said, you want to go into room 412? Yes. I want to acknowledge her. Want to tell her she's remembered. Maybe that will bring her peace. Dave was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I'll take you up there. But Eleanor, you should know something. I've been working here 5 years. I've never opened that room. Never went inside. The door is locked from the outside. Has been since the fire. There's nothing in there but old memories and sadness. I know. But I have to try. They went up together. Dave and Eleanor. Up to the 4th floor. Down the hallway to room 412. The door was plain. Metal. Scratched. No window. Dave pulled out a massive key ring. Found an old rusty key. Put it in the lock. It took effort, but the lock finally turned. The door opened. Inside was exactly what Eleanor expected, and somehow worse. A small room. Maybe 8 by 10 feet. Barred window. A bed frame bolted to the floor. Restraints still attached. Brown stains on the mattress. Blood maybe. Or just age. Graffiti on the walls. Scratch marks. Someone had clawed at these walls trying to get out. Eleanor stepped inside. Felt the weight of sadness. Of despair. Of decades of suffering. This room held so much pain. She spoke to the empty air. Sarah. My name is Eleanor. I know what happened to you. I know you were forgotten. Left here. I'm so sorry. You deserved better. You deserved kindness and care and humanity. You didn't get it. And I'm sorry. The room was silent. But Eleanor felt something. A presence. Listening. I want you to know you're not forgotten anymore. I researched your story. I know who you were. An art student. A daughter. A person who deserved a life. You didn't get that life. But you're remembered now. By me. And I'll make sure others remember too. Eleanor pulled out a small candle she had brought, lit it, placed it on the floor. This is for you, Sarah. May you find peace. May you finally rest. May you know that someone cares, that someone remembers, that you mattered. Eleanor stayed in that room for an hour, talking to Sarah, telling her she wasn't alone, that her suffering was seen, that her life had meaning. When she finally left, Dave was waiting in the hallway. His eyes were wet. That was good what you did, he said. Kind. She needed that. That night at 3 a.m. Eleanor woke up, waited for the crying. But it didn't come. The building was silent. Completely silent for the first time since Eleanor had arrived. The next morning Margaret knocked on Eleanor's door. Did you hear it? The crying? No. Nothing. Why? Margaret's eyes were wide. Me neither. None of us did. For the first time in months. Complete silence. What did you do? Eleanor told her. About going to room 412. About acknowledging Sarah. About remembering her. Margaret hugged her. You gave her peace. After 40 years someone finally gave her peace. Word spread among the residents. About what Eleanor had done. About the silence. About Sarah Murphy finally finding rest. And something changed at Blackwood. The building felt different. Less oppressive. Less sad. Still decaying. Still depressing. But the crushing weight of despair had lifted. More residents came. People who had left returned. Said the place felt better. Didn't know why. Just felt less wrong. Eleanor started something. A memorial board in the lobby. For Sarah Murphy and all the other patients who had suffered at Blackwood. Who had died forgotten. She researched names. Found records. Created a list. Dozens of names. People who deserved to be remembered. She held a small ceremony. Invited the residents. Invited Dave. Read every name aloud. Acknowledged every person. Told their building that these people mattered. That they weren't forgotten. Standing there reading those names, Eleanor felt something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Meaning. She was doing something that mattered. Giving dignity to people who had been denied it in life. A reporter heard about Eleanor's memorial. Wrote an article. People read it. Were moved by it. Donations came in. Money to fix up Blackwood. To make it more livable. To turn it from a last resort into actual housing. The state took notice. Instead of letting Blackwood rot, they invested. Renovated. Turned it into proper senior housing. Nothing fancy. But clean. Safe. Dignified. Eleanor stayed. Even after renovations. Even when she could have gone elsewhere. This was her home now. These were her people. This was her purpose. 5 years after that first night of hearing Sarah Murphy cry, Eleanor stood in room 412. It was different now. Painted. Clean. The restraints were gone. It was a regular room. Someone lived there now. A woman named Grace who was grateful to have a safe place to sleep. Eleanor had hung a small plaque outside the door. In memory of Sarah Murphy. 1950 to 1973. Artist. Daughter. Remembered. Grace kept fresh flowers in the room. Said it felt right. Said she felt like she was honoring someone. Eleanor had told her Sarah's story. Grace understood. Eleanor was 61 now. 5 years older. But felt younger. Felt purposeful. She had found meaning in the last place anyone would look. In an abandoned psychiatric hospital where nobody wanted to live. She had heard a sound that no human being can forget. The crying of a woman who died alone. And instead of running, instead of ignoring it, Eleanor had listened, had cared, had remembered, and in doing so she had found something unexpected. A home, a purpose, a reason to keep going. Sometimes the darkest places hold the most light. You just have to be brave enough to look for it. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories about courage, compassion, and finding light in darkness. Drop a comment below and let me know what city you're watching from. Have you ever been somewhere that everyone else avoided? Have you ever found unexpected purpose in the most unlikely place? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire someone who feels lost. Remember that sometimes the things that scare us most are simply crying out to be heard. That acknowledgement and memory are powerful forces. That giving dignity to the forgotten can heal not just them but ourselves. And that home isn't always a place people want to be. Sometimes it's the place where you're needed most. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. And remember, the most haunting sound isn't a ghost crying. It's the sound of suffering ignored. The sound of people forgotten. Be the person who listens. Be the person who remembers. Be the person who cares.